experience of the film?
I have to think about the movies we've done. How does it contribute to the moves of the film? Oh, the camera movements have a quite an impact on any film really, but I suppose in mine in particular, because we've been very specific on the moves that we want to do for the theme of that scene that we're doing. Sometimes it's particular to even the character, or even who they're having a conversation with. Always in this movie, someone is having a conversation with somebody else. So, that's a very interesting question. No one's asked me that.
So
I think that's a Scott question. Really, he's a DP. Yeah.
So the first shot, right? The characters are still, the camera's moving. That could have been, theoretically, just a still tripod shot in the corner, but you chose not to go in that direction. You were using this equipment to get that movement where it needs to be. And what is the impact of that scene when you think about it?
The first shot. Are you talking? What do you know about the first shot?
Just
what
what
was
talking
in
about?
that
Instagram.
Oh,
She's
right.
posing for the thing. Right?
Yeah.
There's a fly on your head. There we go.
My God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So yeah, that's a perfect example to narrow me in on. For the first shot, the impact of it that has on the audience, it's a 360, really, minus the degree where the actress is sitting, I suppose. That actually has two elements. She herself is rotating with camera, so we always see her, or we see the easel on which she is drawing a face on. So it's a dreamlike state, that one, because it's all white. Oh, that was in a sound stage, and let me say that because I know I stutter. Let me say that again. The revolving, the 360 shot that we have in the first scene, that was done in the soundstage, and while we were having the camera move in 360, the platform that the actress is on was also rotating with us, and that was all mechanically engineered by Scott. It was something that he wanted to showcase, and for myself, it worked because it was a dreamlike state for Audrey, because she was having this experience in front of a nude model that was a woman, and she was there, I suppose, as a what's that word when people watch other people do stuff?
Voyeur.
She was, yeah, thank you. She was voyeuring, not realizing what she was exploring, really. It took time, and through that story of Lines of Woman, it's her learning what that is.
So would you describe Lines of Woman as a very subjective movie?
Yeah, I would describe it as a subjective movie. It's, I think it's relatable, and people what they're trying to go through, and exploring themselves, and it happens at all different ages. It's, when you're teens and you're in your 20s, you're discovering yourself, but then there's, never having the opportunity, never learning how to do that sort of thing because you're never exposed to it. But sometimes that finds you.
Do you feel like when you're watching the movie, you're seeing it through Audrey's eyes? Was that your intention?
Watch
the movements that you're describing, like, right, we're seeing her as a voyeur, but it's like sort of a transcendent experience for both the viewer because of the camera movement and for her. And I'm wondering, I don't know, does this feel like it's delving into one person's psychology and we're seeing like the way that they perceive the world? Or is it more sort of about the way that the entire world is portrayed from different people's point of view.
No, I totally focus this movie more on Audrey's point of view. So that's why the camera movements are the way that they are, especially in the first scene, as explained, that Scott was doing this 360 because it's almost her looking at her at the model in a 360, wanting to explore every part of her, and whether or not she's reflecting on that she wants to know every part of herself and come to terms with what she wants. It's all a journey, So we take that journey around the planet, and then we come back to one, and we keep going around and around. And sometimes we learn different things the second or third time around.
Do you have any sort of moments on either on set or just watching the footage back where you just kind of stopped and said, wow?
Okay, well, actually, when I first was really blown away by this project was our very first day of shooting. We were in Brooklyn, and we were filming the very first scene of the movie where I'm, doing the drawing of the nude model. And that was the first time I've ever seen any of the equipment. I saw the cranes, I saw the lights, I saw everyone on set. And everyone was so excited and so dedicated to what we were doing. And the equipment was just so incredible that was the first time I was like, wow. And, honestly, every day that we've been on set since then has still been a similar feeling, because it's exciting to see the setups. It's exciting to see everyone's face again, and we're all working towards the same goal, and we're all excited about it. So I keep getting those kind of wow moments often.
There's been many. Definitely the first time that I saw the biggest crane that Scott has, when it came out, when it extended, and I saw just how far it goes, I was like, oh my God, who are these people and how did they find me? Yeah, and that was pretty cool. The first time I saw the promo trailer, which was when I went to Mel's office and we were having a little session working on the script, and she showed me the promo shot, and just seeing it, how it translated onto film, because I saw it over from the side, the crane actually moving on set, but then to see the way it translated to the film was crazy. It's just amazing, because what you see, even when I'm reading lines with Lizzie for a scene, what I'm seeing her do on set, when you then see it on camera, it's crazy how it's totally different. What I'm witnessing from the other side of that door looking in, it's a totally different scene when you see it on the monitor, and the way Scott's framed it and the direction that's everything has a purpose on what we're seeing on screen. And it's wild how we have this huge set, this huge room, but this little frame contains so much, and all of it means something.
This setup you had to do on this movie?
The first day when we had the craziest setup we've had was definitely the first day, when we had a spinning crane. The crane was out, and then the camera was spinning around Lizzie, who was on a turntable herself, and we had to match the turntable with the crane and then with focus, and that was a crazy shot. That took all day for one shot, and we had a whole setup day beforehand. That was the hardest.
And Lizzie was actually describing that same moment. She said that she was there's a Hong Kong director named Johnny To, who did the same thing, where he makes extremely low budget movies, and many of them involve office scenes, and many of them are at his office.
Genius.
Yeah.
Genius.
And then he gets right, and he's able to use the money for the actual action scenes.
Yeah.
So, I don't know,
That's a good way of doing it.
Yeah. What is the most complicated shot of this movie?
Well, okay. So the shots that we did of the actress who's living out of her car that was probably the toughest day to shoot, because it was hot. We were shooting exteriors. It was like 90 degrees and bugs and, the most interesting, I'll tell you what the most interesting shot from that day was. There was this one shot that they decided to do an in-camera effect shot. They basically asked the actress to kind of be still or move slower than what she would normally do, and they shot it at a faster speed. Not true. They shot it at a slower speed so that when they played it back, it looked like the reflection of the clouds on the car window above her are moving faster than they normally do. So it sort of represents her solitude and loneliness and, trying to fill time when she's, not really connected to anything right now. And that was very interesting, the way they came up with the idea to make that happen. And the actress was great for that. So that was probably, in my opinion, probably the most impressive scene. Again, it's not of the main character, and so the impact of it is important because it sort of brings the mindset of the sort of secondary character that winds up with the main character, the biggest relationship that she has in the movie. So that I thought was a pretty great shot.
Yeah, that sounds like a really sort of interesting bit of subjective filmmaking. And like you said, it's not like crucial to the film, but it elevates it.
Yeah, it does. Exactly. It elevates it. That's right.
And you can have like you can have like a director who has like a crew of 250 and 2 Technocranes and whatever, and still not really know how best to implement them. So I was listening to Greg tell me about a specific subjective shot you guys did, where you matched the movement and you purposely slowed down the movement so that the cloud movement overhead would give sort of an insight into how she was thinking in that moment. So was that something that really came naturally to Melissa?
No, actually, if I may, I'll give you the story behind that shot. It actually started out as a joke. Yeah. So we were filming. The actress was writing a letter. She's sitting in her car, and the camera's set up. It's on a tripod. It was just a stationary shot, looking through the glass, the rear side window, and it just was a really intense, cloudy day. Not overcast, but individual clouds, and it was windy in the upper atmosphere, so they were moving through at a fairly decent rate. And I joked to the camera assistant. I said, you know what we should do? So normally, for just to go into the technical element, normally you're shooting at 24 frames a second. Right? That's what real time is. And I said, boy, it'd be really neat if we shot this at like 1 frame a second, and had her write really slowly. And then on the playback, it would look like normal writing speed, and the clouds would all be racing through. So I was just kind of like, joking around with the camera assistant. And then I go, hey, wait a minute. That's actually not a bad idea. And I said to Mel, hey, what do you think about doing this shot where we slow it down? And she's like, okay, how do we do it? So I'm like, all right, we actually have to work out some math here. Because to film it at normally 24 frames a second, but to do it at 1 frame a second, but it's going to play back at 24 frames a second, how long should each letter take so that when it's played back, it will be the right speed? So I'm like, all right, let's write some words out, and I'm going to time it. And So she would throw words out, and I timed it. I'm like, okay. So then I started to do the calculations to do the conversion between one frame and second. I mean, I don't remember how I did it, but I came up with, okay, each letter should take 15 seconds to do. All right? So 4 letters is going to be in a minute. You know, and so it's like, okay. So I said, all right, what we're going to do, so who's that talent? That would have been Kelly, Kelly's the character. So I said, all right, Kelly, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit outside the car, and I'm going to repeatedly count from 1 to 15. And you're to do each letter and paste the letter out so that you're finished the letter at 15 seconds, go to the next letter, and I'm going to start again 1 to 15. And I did this over and over, and I think it was 7 minutes, just counting 1 to 15 over and over. But it gave her sort of like a metronome. It gave her something to judge her action. And then what she did that was so intense is you have to watch your breathing. Because if you breathe normally, you're going to look like a chipmunk. And so she slowed her breathing down as well, as slow as she could, you know, without obviously passing out. And so then, you know, we played it back, and it was like, wow, that looks really good. So there's a collaborative effort on this film of the ideas that come forth, that different people have different, and so I'm specifically the director of photography, so it's my job description to specifically advise in elements visually on how to tell the story. And so, you know, it goes through Mel. You know, she's got to like the idea. No, Scott, that's a stupid idea. We don't do the idea. But I said, you know, hey, I've got this idea. What do you think of it? She goes, yeah, no, I like it. So then I have to work out the math to make it technically work. And boom, there we go.
So you've obviously worked on quite a few sets. Is this one unique in any way?
Oh, this one, very unique. This is, all right, so in the film industry, there are what are called passion projects that people do. And they're shoots like this, where it's somebody's personal money and their heart and soul is in it. And it's well known that you don't work on passion projects because they're just terrible. Just utterly terrible, because their aspirations are so high, but their budgets can't afford anything. They just don't know what they're doing, and they're trying to pull all these things together, and it's just a train wreck. So this is also a passion project because it's being done with Melissa's, my own money. Alex is putting money into it. You know, so our own personal money going into it. And it's not very much. But we're working on a production level that is up there with any high-end commercial shoot, you know, or feature shoot. You know, working with technocranes, motion control sliders, remote heads. You know, all of the production value is very high as far as the mechanics. That the passion projects, you know, they have a tripod. You know, they can move the tripod here, they can move the tripod there, but there's still static shots. So to be able to have that three-dimensional visual movement and, you know, give life to the film visually, it just puts it at a very high realm. So this is a really, really neat project because it's a bunch of people who came together. And, you know, the main are the three of us, Melissa, Alex, and myself, but there's Ostap, there's Greg, there's Jamie, who's a camera assistant, there are all these other people that, you know, are coming in as well. So it's just a combination of a lot of really intense talent. But, you know, I'm listing, 6 crew people on a film that A small shoot would have 30. A big shoot would have 250. We're doing with 6. It's pretty amazing. And doing it, in reasonable length days, 10-hour days, sometimes even less. I think one day we went to 12. Whereas the normal passion project would have 16-hour days because they're trying to do too much and it just takes too much time. So it's neat. It's very exciting to be able to have something like that come together on such a small independent project.